Down. Okay.
Mm-mm.
3, 2, 1. Okay.
Hi, everybody. How are you all today? My name is Sherry, and welcome to Sundays with Sherry in conjunction with the United Missing Persons. I just wanted to shout out and say hello. I hope everybody's had a decent week. I know our nation's been through a lot this week with our election and COVID numbers, and it's been a little bit unsettling. It's also been pretty unsettling in the world of domestic violence. I continue to read news reports and watch things that absolutely break my heart. So, again, here we are on our Sunday night talk, and we are going to discuss the topic of domestic violence. Um, as you guys know, most of you who know me, my plight started in August when my best friend Melissa Chapman came up missing. And we worked with Be United Missing Persons for 3 very long, grueling weeks until finally we found her. We didn't get the answer, of course, that we were hoping for. She had been murdered in a domestic violence situation. And so, my goal and the agenda of her entire family is to spread awareness for domestic violence, to reach out to people who have survived and are surviving daily, to give hope to those who are in the situation, to find resources, build friendships and relationships, and just bring people together so that hopefully we can figure out what needs to be done in our country to overcome domestic violence. I can't really see yet, y'all, if we have anybody on. I'm not sure. So if not, you guys can probably catch us on the replay. I know that this will be posted on YouTube, on Be United Missing Persons site, and on the Honoring Melissa Chapman Facebook page. So if you're not a member of Be United Missing Persons, I really, really, really encourage y'all to go out and to join that today. Until you've had a family member or someone that you care about that is lost and missing, you will never understand how important it is to click share on one of the flyers that they post. Also, Jason Hebert is an amazing person. I encourage y'all to check him out on YouTube. He does podcasts for missing persons. So that's just my shout out to a couple people that are really amazing to me and have helped Melissa's family and I through a great deal. Tonight, we're very, very blessed to have a young woman on here that actually reached out to me. I've had a lot of people reach out to discuss their domestic violence situation with me since this all began with Melissa. But this young woman's really touched my heart. She jumped right out there and said, I've got to tell you my story. And so we invited Katelynn to come tonight and to talk with y'all. I'm going to turn this over to Katelynn and let her introduce herself. Tell the folks a little bit about you, Katelynn, and how she did know Melissa. And I'm going to let you talk, sweetheart. If at any point people have questions, please feel free to type those out, and we're hoping we can see those. And then we'll just kind of go from there. But Katelynn, would you tell us a little bit about you?
I don't know where to begin. So, um, I'm from a small town in southwest Iowa. Little fun fact: I went to school with Melissa's daughter, Marlena, and so I don't know too much. I just know from hanging out with Marlena and her group of friends and that kind of thing. I was really involved in high school and that kind of thing. So I'm just like, oh, like domestic violence. No, it's not going to happen to me. I'm pretty athletic. No big deal. And then it got to my senior year of high school. I was getting all kinds of scholarship award letters to go, for us, like I really don't like know what to do. I'm 15, like, just thing. A friend of mine's all like, hey, this guy's number. I'm like, okay, like I'm not really into dating. I'm college this year, like, and just like, sure, whatever, fine. Started texting him. I'm like, oh, he's really not that bad away. At the time, he was 1,000 miles away completing his schooling for the National Guard. So, oh, it'll just be a friend, no big deal, someone to talk to. And then he came home in January and he's like, you're really nice. I'd like to be your girlfriend. Or I'd like to be your boyfriend. I'm like, I'm not looking anything serious. I have all these scholarships and I'd like to, pursue one of them. And I don't want anything holding me back. And he's just like, okay, do whatever you want. And I'm like, okay. And then as time went on, he's like, well, I don't know if I can pursue a relationship if you're going, to Missouri, or I had even had offers out in Nebraska or whatever to come run and stuff. And I'm like, what do you mean? You just told me to dream big and do whatever I wanted. So that was the start of like him like starting to control me. And I'm like, you know what, fine, I'll save my mom some money, save myself some money. I went to a local college, or the small community college here in Creston. And I'm like, okay, saving some money, cool. And then my freshman year, around Thanksgiving time, had went to a college party because, that's what college kids do. Came back and I didn't have things, but I was babysitting a couple roommates and he started flirting with them. And I'm like, really, you're going to do that? Like with your girlfriend right here? Like, come on. And that's when he snaps on me at I questioned like my self-worth because that next morning I you know what, like I'm not gonna be who is gonna flirt with all my my female friends. I don't need that. I'm here on a scholarship. I need to worry about studies and all that. And he smacked me across my face. And I literally just broke down crying because I'm like, what, like,
Absolutely.
I don't deserve this. And like outside, I called my dad and like, dad, like, what do I do? And he's like, if I were you, like, I wouldn't go back to him. I'd cut all ties. And then I guess my RA had heard all this go down. She came down to check on me. She's like to file a report. I see your face red. I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like, pretty clueless.
Right.
I'm like, can I just like process all this a little bit and go from there? She's like, yeah, you have X amount of hours to make a police report if you want to. And then he had texted me a couple hours later. He's like, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do that. I blacked out, blah, blah, blah. And I knew deep down in my heart that no woman or guy should ever lay hands on anyone else. And so like, I'm just like,
Right.
I shouldn't forgive you, but I'm nice, so I'll give you another chance. Maybe he won't do it again. Maybe he was still hungover. Maybe, I don't know what was running through his head. Gave him another chance, couple months to a year. It was fine. Nothing really happened. And then I had to drop out of college due to I had injured my leg, so I lost my scholarship, and then I had some family issues. So I'm like, I'll drop out of college, take care of those family issues, come back at a later time. Well, then when I also dropped out of college, I found out I was pregnant with my oldest daughter, who is so stubborn and 5 years old. And I went to him. I'm like, things, really need to change. We're expecting our first child. I'm clueless. And his first words were adoption and abortion. And I'm all like, we can look into adoption. We're both still young, but like
Right.
deep down in my heart, I've been wanting this for a while now. It, kind of came out of bed college, and I'm like, but I really want this. And um, then he's just like, oh, well, you're a piece of shit for wanting. We're 20 years old. You're gonna be throwing your life away. And I'm like, and like, so what? You don't want to help, take out, walk
Right.
out, and I can talk to him for a week or so, and he came back and he's like, oh, well, I think we should keep it. And I'm like, you need to be 110% sure that you're going to be committed into her life, because if you're going to be wishy-washy, I don't want you here. He's like, no, I'm in
Right.
it. And then I lived with my mom at the time, and then he finished college. He came to live with my mom and I, and things were good, golden, until after I had Natalie. We found our own apartment, and that's when things had started getting worse again. He had asked me to cut my all communication with my father and my mom, like everybody. And I'm just like, no, like, when you have a newborn, like, you're automatically going to go to your mom for advice
Right.
and stuff. And I'm like, that's not really the right thing to do. I can do it for you. And it progressed from there. After Natalie turned a year old, we had moved to a house, and that is when things drastically took a turn, and things got a lot worse. I remember one time specifically, we had gotten into a fight. He had hit me again, and I said, if you lay hands on me one more time, I'm going to call the cops. I'm not putting up with it anymore. He ripped my phone out of my hand, smashed it with a hammer, and I'm like, that's enough. I took Natalie and I and packed a bag, locked ourselves into the bathroom, and I literally, like, I sat there crying, like, what am I doing wrong? Like, this is what, everyone dreams of having a child, having a family. Like, what am I doing? I'm sorry, I'm crying.
No, I
like,
understand, sweetheart.
like, what am I doing wrong? And then I took my bag after he left. I took my bag and my daughter went over to the neighbor's house. I'm like, can I borrow a phone? Called a friend to come pick us up. We stayed at her house for a couple days, and she had persuaded me into attempting to get a protective order the first time. And I'm like, okay, we can do that to get, things rolling. And that was the first official time, like, I tried leaving him. And then he had messaged me a couple hours later, and got into my head, persuaded me to go drop the protective order, and we would, quote, seek help together. And me being generous heart, I'm like, hey, whatever works. And it just kept getting, eventually led to, oh, you're a stupid cunt, you're worth, can't take care of a child. And that did so much damage to me. And then finally, when our lease was up, I went and I'm like, you know what? Like, I'm not getting another place with you. I got mine and my daughter's stuff, moved it into my mom's small 3-bedroom house she just bought. I'm like, you know what? Like, when you're done with your stuff, you can message me. Then met another guy through another friend. Way too soon for a relationship, but I guess I was just kind of desperate and wanting to feel loved. And started talking to him, moved up to Des Moines for a little bit, pursued another protective order while I was living up in Des Moines with him. And that was fine and dandy for a little bit until things went south with that guy. I moved home, then Natalie's dad got back into my head and persuaded me to drop the second protective order. And again, I should have listened to my mom, my dad. Everyone's like telling me not to do it. It's going to repeat. And I'm all like, you know what? I'm my own person. I'm going to do what's best for me and my child. So I listened to him. I dropped the protective order, moved in with him and his family again. And it literally got worse. With his daughter would her this time she was like, don't have very long attention span. One day in particular, she was just having one of her moments, and he came downstairs and is like, Natalie, you need to quit acting like a bitch, and slaps her. And
oh no,
like, it's okay. Yeah, it's okay if you do it to me, but it crosses a line when you do it to my child. And then a couple weeks went and passed, and things were fine. I forgave him. And then my mom messaged me, and she's like, hey, going on a camping trip for your stepdad's birthday. Do you want to, come spend the weekend? And I'm like, sure. I was pregnant with a child at the time. I'm like, I could use it in this house. Yeah. She's like, just pack one bag for the three of you and you can come back and get more stuff. I'm like, okay. And I had told him, I'm like, hey, I'm going to such and such campground. You're more out with this if you feel comfortable. See the girls, we're going to be gone for the whole weekend. Or the girl, we're going to be gone for the whole weekend. You can come out, see her, whatever. But I just need a break. He knew exactly where it was. He could come see Natalie. That Friday night, I had gotten 17 missed calls, about 20 texts in the span of an hour. And I finally had enough. My mom and I took Natalie in the camper, called the cops. I'm like, listen here, this guy's stalking me. He said that if I bring my daughter home, he was going to punch me. And I'm like, I've had enough. Like, what are my options? And he's all like, whoever the campground with you, load up in the camper, lock the door, because he had threatened to come out and take Nat. And I'm like, okay. So we all loaded up into my mom and stepdad's little camper, and we were all quiet, watched him drive around the campground a couple of times, and then he sat up by the bathrooms for like 3 hours waiting for me to bring Natalie up to him. And like that was the final straw, and I'm like, yep, not coming back. So with my one bag that I had packed for the whole entire weekend, that was just enough for, like a weekend for my daughter and I. I'm like that's it. That's the end of it. Like, I'm not going back. All the clothes that are over at his parents' house and everything that could be replaced. No big deal.
right.
Moved back in with my mom. And then second daughter, Caroline, and he came over, visited her periodically, and then he started to stalk me over there. And I'm, oh my gosh, like, what do I have to do? Like, it's one thing if you're driving by, like going to the store or something, but to be continuously driving by, like, that's not okay. Like, I should be able to feel safe wherever I'm at.
Right.
And so, mom's house to my aunt and my uncle's house. And then he's changing his path to work past my aunt and uncle's house. And so they got track of, if he drives by, he sat out in her driveway for like 4 hours thinking it's okay. She's going to come crawling back to me. Things are going to be fine. I'm like, no, like, you had your chance. You called me all these names. I'm finally enough. And he's like, oh, whatever. Stop. I'm like, go throw your little tantrums, girls. I don't really give a rat's ass anymore.
Right.
And
Right.
I stayed there for a year. My aunt and uncle, this sounds kind of lame, but in that time frame, my aunt and uncle helped me get up on my feet. And I'm very, very thankful for that because they also helped me get a backbone to him. And they
Good.
helped me purchase my first piece, a crap car. But hey, it's a car for the time being. And
That's right.
that's when the guy pulled back up. He's like, you live with someone who has a car. You don't really need a car. You don't have anywhere else to be. You know what? You let me do what I want to do. I need a car. I can't be reliant on. I'm like, I'm gonna get a car,
Right.
and you're gonna shut the hell up, and I'm gonna do what's best for the girls and myself. And he's like, okay, whatever. And then time came where I could tell they were kind of getting annoyed with us. So I started filling out paperworks for apartments. At that time, I didn't have a job, so I was looking for a low income apartment that could help me pay rent for the time being. And I won't forget the call, or I won't forget the day that I got a call and they're like, hey, we have a 3-bedroom apartment open.
Oh,
Only looking at a 2-bedroom because you have 2 girls, but our waiting list for 2 bedrooms like twice as long, and we have a 3-bedroom open. We take it. I'm like, sure. Like I didn't know what I was getting myself into because I was living with his parents or my parents or my aunt and uncle, and I'm like, shit. Like I don't really have anything. I maybe had like 3 bags of clothes for my girls and I. Like, what am I gonna do? Out thing on like the local swap page, and like, hey, I'm starting over, gonna be my own place. I literally need everything, and the outpour of support, or the all this that came out and go, hey, I have pants, bed, and all that
absolutely.
is amazing. Like I couldn't believe it. And I literally like cried because I was so scared, and I mean I still am doing it by myself. But those first couple days, I was so scared because I'm like, we live 2 blocks from where he and his parents live. Is he gonna come try anything? Well, when he figured out we moved from my aunt and uncle's house, he started to put 2 and 2 together. Hey, she moved. And then he finally figured out what car I drove and where we
And
lived.
found you.
And so now, yeah, he found me. And so now I'm dealing with driving by. And it's because I have 2 girls with him that he's still able to control me to some extent, because he knows that my girls are my weakness. So
Right.
he can be like, oh, how are the girls doing? Do they need anything? And then he's able to, slip in a hidden message while asking about the girls. And it's just nerve-wracking because now that he's stalking my apartment and we've only been here for about 7-8 months, I no longer feel safe here. My anxiety has rocketed. So 2 months ago, I went to my doctor. I'm like, hey, this is what. It's not that I don't trust myself. I just don't feel safe at home, like where I should feel safe at. And I'm like, what can we do? Crazy? What's going on? And she's like, here's the options. I know you don't really like the medicine. You don't really like taking medicine, but I honestly think you need something to calm you down. And be like,
Right.
okay, take a breather. And like I felt like that was my moment where I'm like, fuck, I feel like a failure because like I'm having to rely on medication to make myself calm, be happy. And I like bawled for like a good half hour in her office. I'm like, I feel like a complete failure for doing this. And she just like reassured me. She's like, no, you're not a failure.
Yep.
You know, like this, it's very common. And like
Absolutely.
that was the first like I like actually sat down and talked with someone about like what I went through, because before that, like I wasn't really open because I'm like, oh, no one needs to know this. They're gonna think I'm making it up, you know, whatever, whatever the case may be. And like I felt so much relief, you know, like getting all that off my chest, knowing it was
To share.
somewhere safe. Yeah, because the doctor's not gonna remember it in, you know, 10 or so minutes, you know, when they're giving their next exam or whatever. And so I've been on medicine for about 2 months for my anxiety. Actually, in a reboot, feel safe. The next, since he's been here, a family member is moving back where his family's from, and has offered me his 3-bedroom house. Oh my god! Like, what the hell am I gonna do with space? And I'm hoping moving over to their house or his house that us, he's gonna figure it out sooner or later. It's a small town, but it's just like, how much do I have to?
We do.
I don't think. Yeah, he recently filed. Well, we don't have one set in place, but that brings me to the next point of control. Like, he doesn't want the girls. He absolutely doesn't want the girls. He just wants to use them as a form of control to get back at me. So recently, yeah, he filed for full custody of the girls. So so yeah. Um, I don't want to say a whole lot, but the chances and how much evidence I have with him, because I have a whole bind full of all the times he said I'm worthless and that he wants to punch me in the face and all that. I've copied, screenshotted those messages. I have a whole binder full, and I'm gonna keep doing that. The chances for him getting custody are slim and none, because he doesn't have a job to support them. He lives, yeah, yeah. So yeah. Mm. But as helping me, I don't think anybody can do, because I mean, he does have some communication with me because of the girls, and so it's gotten to the point where I told him my phone goes on silent at this time. Do not call, do not text me after this time, because I will not answer your messages at all. I don't care. You know, oh, hey, I just had tacos for supper. Like, I don't care. Like, and do not me unless absolutely, yeah. And I even, excuse me, um, I've recently, because I have an iPhone, I've recently had to mute when he texts me so I don't get notifications from him. And when I have my time, I will answer his message if needed to be. If not, I'll just let it go. So, yeah.
Speak until about a year and a half ago about anything that I had been through in my life. I kept it all bottled up inside for 30 years, right? And I chose to go to a Christian counselor, a pastor at first, and then a Christian counselor. And oh my goodness, just being able to talk to someone that does care and that's not going to forget in 10 minutes is a really big, big deal. And I just want you to pray about it. Think about that. Um, because your friends are your friends. They're always going to take your side, your family, because they love you. But to find somebody
Yep.
outside of your equation that you can talk to, it helped me immensely to put things into perspective and to put things into place. And
Yep.
I'm proud of you for getting on anxiety medication. I take anxiety medication right now because let me tell you, if not, I would not have made it through since August 23rd to today. I would
Yep.
be, I'm wackadoo anyway when it comes to people I love, and I would not have made it. So kudos to you for speaking up. Kudos to you for bringing it up, for making that point, because there is such a stigma in our country today. But I encourage you. I'm so proud of you. Like, um, when you said to me on this interview, when you said that when he slapped your daughter, that was crossing the line. Well, that's how your mom and dad feel too. You know, when he slapped their daughter, that's crossing the line. But it just shows your character, sweetheart, that you're an amazing mom and an amazing woman. And I'm very, very proud of you. It's not easy to stand against a man that you love. It's not. I've been there. Sometimes I think as women, we forgive way, way easier than we should. And I think we spend a lot of time investing in a mistake that we're not quite ready to give up on that yet, you know, and we
Yep.
want our children to have that perfect home life and that perfect family with the little bow, you know.
Yep.
Unfortunately, it doesn't always work out that way. So kudos to you for sticking up for yourself and for your daughter.
And I guess like if I just want to get like one thing out there for any, it's like as long because you might not get as lucky as me or you. You could under like Melissa did or whatever, and
Yep.
if even if while he's at work or whoever's at work, just pack a bag, leave, and like I
Yep.
get that too all the time. He's like, you took the cowardly way out. You couldn't even let me, or you couldn't even talk to me. I'm
Not
like,
true.
the cowardly way out. I left while you were at work to go camping with my family because I knew if I would have talked to you about it, you would have persuaded me into staying. I had my mind made
That's
up.
right.
I was going to do it either way. And
Yep.
so,
No, nobody gets to judge
if
you
you
for
have,
the way that you choose to survive, ever.
and I still get so many, like, oh, you're a single mom. You have 2 kids. No one's going to want you. So what? No one doesn't want me. Like, I'm perfectly content with, my 2 dogs, my daughters. Like, I'm
Yep.
perfectly content with, that being my, I guess, my fairy tale or whatever.
That's right.
So,
You know, but my mom was a single mom with 2 kids, and I didn't have a dad until I was 7 years old. And my mom met a man that he had recently divorced. He had 2 children, and he married my mom and adopted my brother and I. And we did have that, you know? So don't ever count that out. If it's something you decide down the road that you want, don't let people judge. You know, they haven't walked in your shoes, and don't count yourself out. You know, you are strong. I'm proud of you that you're not leaning on one man and the next and the next and the next to get through this, because I've seen so many women do that. You know, um, I love the way that you said that you didn't wait to get out, because one of the last times, well, the last time that I saw Melissa, we had a discussion about her leaving, and she had already, they were split up, but she was going to move from the area
Yep.
and move down to where I lived. And she kept saying, I need to get a couple more paychecks first. And I was like, it's just money. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have a lot, but what I have, I'll share with you. We may have to put your stuff in storage. We may
Yeah.
all have to live in a 2-bedroom house for a while, but we can do this, you know? And she was trying so hard, like you said, to do things the way that she thought she should do, you know? And she went,
Yeah. 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 And um, I'm 5. I'll be 26 in January. Hello. Um, and I don't want to release too much information since we're gonna be going to court soon. But definitely taken some, yeah, down what I would like to happen, and I have put on my notes that until I completely feel him having the girls by himself, that he have either mutual third party South Iowa. They have like, I guess, like 3-second supervised visits, and I that's one thing I make sure of, because I know he's going to get visits regardless, and I want to make sure it's the safest way possible. So
and it can help someone else who might be in the same situation, that they can gain strength and get out of a bad relationship themselves. I completely agree, T. T works with Be United Missing Persons, and these folks see way too many tragedies. And I am so very thankful, Katelynn, that you had the maturity and the strength to step up for yourself and for your girls. Completely am. See if we have any other questions. Not yet. And I think I might have lost you. Katelynn, are you there?
Hello?
I think I've lost you. Oh, I can hear you. I can't see you, but go ahead, babe.
And I think I told you this when I had messaged you, but there was one day where he's like, "Oh, you're a worthless human being," and all this right before work. And Melissa had came through my line and was very patient with me that day when I worked at Walmart. And she could tell that I was having a bad day, and everything that she told me had meant like so much to me. She's like, "I don't know what's going on at home, but I can tell you're having a bad day. Keep your chin up. If something's going wrong, find me on Facebook, message me. Like, I don't know you, but if you need help, like, I'm here." And like that just meant like so much for me from like a complete stranger.
Right.
That just
She
shows like,
connected us, a lot
yeah.
of us.
So
Thank you for sharing that with me and with her family and the rest of her friends.
yeah. And
Thank you for not sticking around and for not putting your family and friends through what we're going through. Thank you. Thank you for being so brave.
Yep. And I won't ever, like, I've seen her several times through Walmart when I worked there, and I was always so jealous because her makeup and her hair were always on point, and I'm like, what am I doing wrong? Like,
she's so perfect. Yeah, she would kill me. She would get up to go to work. And there were times I remember when Marlena and Jake were little, she would have like a 5:30 a.m. shift. And I would never understand for the life of me how she looked perfect at 5:30 a.m., but she did. She pulled it off beautifully.
and there was another, she came through my line, she's like, "I'm just the hot mess express today." I'm like, girl, if that's you, like a hot mess, like, please.
Right? She made it look easy. She did. She could talk me into anything. I always have long hair, and she talked me into cutting my hair like really short, and
But
she had the face for it. She could do anything with her hair, and oh my goodness. But she could talk me into anything. I certainly miss her. Well, I thank you from all of us for getting on here with us and for speaking out. And I personally, on a personal note, I would love it if you would stay in touch with me. I'm not far from Creston now. I've moved back here to be closer to the boys.
okay.
And my sons, of course. My oldest is here, but I'm only about 20 minutes from Melissa's boys and from Chap. And so stay in touch with me. Let me know how you are. If you need somebody to talk to. And the one thing that I want to encourage you to do, and I know that you will, is be the voice for your friends too, because you are such a beacon of what to do right. You are. And so many young women today, I think they don't know where to turn, or they're embarrassed, or they don't want to talk. I mean, here we are in 2020, and domestic violence is still a huge taboo. People still don't want to talk about it. And I think that we have to be the voice. I also want to say that you're very brave, because I still haven't been brave enough to publicly tell my story.
Yeah.
And you give me courage, and I thank you for that. But keep doing what you're doing. Be that voice. Be that voice.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, sweetheart, so much for joining us tonight. I want to go to really quick, and you can chime in. I can't see you, but I can hear you. You can chime in at any time.
Okay.
One of the things that we're going to be doing on future programs, we're going to be meeting again, like I said, every Sunday at 7 p.m. And I want to ask this question to our viewers. And if any of you guys want to answer back, Carrie is relaying messages to us live here. One of the questions I have for you all, how do our followers feel that we as a whole, as a community, how can we best accurately respond to domestic violence issues? I mean, it's one thing for me to say, hey, I'm here for you. Hey, I got you, girl. Hey, I personally, I'm not afraid to go to somebody's house and be like, okay, girl, you got 5 minutes, pack your bag, let's go. She touched a lot of hearts up there. I think what she and Chap were there at least 10 years. Um, that was a very, very loving community that she was a part of. And at the time of her passing, I know the Creston community or that area, they really reached out in support of Melissa's family. And you guys all stick together, take care of each other. I don't know what y'all have up there as far as a domestic violence shelter or resources or counseling or Christian counseling, a pastor maybe that's been through something like this. But jot those resources down, send those to me because we are totally compiling a list. Right now it's by state. Eventually I'd like it to be by community. I believe we can battle this. I believe that if we all decide to be the voice for ourselves and for those around us, I believe we can make a huge difference. I never, ever, ever want to have to sit down with one of you girls and hug you and say, I understand what it's like to bury your best friend. I don't want to do that. Not ever again. Watching what Melissa's children went through, what they're still going through, watching what the love of her life went through and is still going through. Her brothers, her, not to mention us girls, we all thought that we could help her, see her way to the other side. And I never want to ever have to go and hold somebody because they're going through the same thing. So be a Katelynn, be the voice, step up, and just remember, y'all, we are in this all together. So I'm going to sign off for tonight. Please keep watching the Be United Missing Persons. Watch their website, be-united.org, as well as their, like them here on Facebook. Share those missing posters, you guys. You don't understand until you have a loved one missing. You don't understand the devastation that is. Share, share, share. Go on and like Jason Hebert here on Facebook, and definitely check out his link on YouTube. Jason does amazing things nationwide with missing persons and true crime, and has just been such a loving person to Team Melissa. So do those two things for me. If you haven't joined Honoring Melissa Chapman, do so. And we're kind of low key over there. We get a little redneck girl now and again over there, but we love each other, and you'll find a great support system there with no judgments. If you need any of us, please reach out. If we don't have help, we'll find somebody who does. We're just going to be in this together. So just remember that. And I will see you guys next Sunday at 7 p.m. Central for Sundays with Sherry. Thank you, Katelynn. I don't know if you're still on here. I can't see you, sweetheart, but you are one of my heroes. You're doing a fantastic job. Love those baby girls. Send me pictures. Let me know how court's going. If you need anything, you reach out. My love to all y'all.